G'day crew, welcome to Goat Fantasy. It's the Nasiah Wanganeen Milera replacement edition. Just 2 weeks to go in the fantasy season. Goat Fantasy brought to you by checkmyrates.au. Visit the website, it's free to use. Take control of your financial future. Save some money on your home loan rate. Just have a chat to Brandon and the team and mention the Goat Fantasy podcast, which is hosted by Drew Jones. Nice to be with you. No rage trades this week because really we're all looking in one place. How do we get a suitable replacement for Nasiah Wanganeen Milera, who pings the hammy and is out for 4 to 5 weeks? There's a few other news items which we'll touch on after this initial Naz chat. It's Thursday, so I'm sure you guys have already put a fair bit of thought into where you're going in your defence. Just wanted to throw around a few options that you're considering. Perhaps it might help clear things up for you. So because Naz has so much money on his head in AFL Fantasy, it's a much different situation to Supercoach given the limited amount of trades. You may not have any left. So just from AFL Fantasy perspective, so Dane Zorko, he's got Gold Coast this weekend, 888, very cheap for a guy that can bust out 120s. He did have the cramp last week where he was concerned. He had hamstring awareness. He came out after halftime and punched out a pretty reasonable score, nearly hit 100. It hasn't been an amazing Dane Zorko season, but if you're willing to take the risk, he is cheap. He's 468 in Supercoach. One for this week, which I like, is Nick Blakey. So 840k in fantasy, 479 in Supercoach. Blakey, so consistent in the backline. He's got Essendon. Is there a chance he gets a pop score against the struggling Bombers? If you're ever going to roll the dice on the Lizard, feels like this would be the week. Lachie Whitfield, very good last week. Didn't cash in on an amazing first half as GWS lost to Gold Coast. He's 498 in Supercoach, 937 in fantasy. He's got the Eagles this week. Milan Murdoch did the job last time they played. Milan hasn't necessarily done huge lockdown roles in recent weeks. There's no guarantee that he'll do it against Whitfield this week, but certainly the flag here is if you're trading into Whitfield, the last time he played the Eagles, he really struggled and Murdoch got the better of him. Lachie Ash has been struggling in recent weeks. This feels like a matchup he could pop in. He's 902 and 461 in Supercoach. You couldn't pick him off recent form. You're purely picking him for the matchup and an opportunity to score big against the Eagles, particularly if Whitfield gets shut down. You'd think that just by default, the ball ends up in Ash's hands. Luke Parker has been really safe all season. His ownership on Supercoach is really high, probably higher than I thought it would be. Again, North Melbourne this week, just a slightly tougher game to trade into. He's 897 in fantasy, but he has been pretty consistent in the back line. If you're not sure where to go, Luke Parker could be an option. Tom Stewart, I'm looking at him only in Supercoach. His fantasy scoring hasn't been great, but it has been reasonable in recent weeks in Supercoach. So 487. And then the Richmond matchup to come, I think, is a juicy one if you're trading into Stewart, particularly in Supercoach. Tom Stewart's easily a player you could trade into next week if you wanted that instant reward, and it's only 1 week, lower risk. In Supercoach, you kind of have to commit now with the limited trade, so I feel like he's not a bad option. Constanti didn't play last week. He's the kind of guy that could potentially play a role on Stewart. So just watch teams and have a look if you think there is a forward tag coming from North for Stewart. Now, usurping all of these options is Brad Hill, who's averaging 110 in his last 5. He's priced at 1.04 million in AFL Fantasy. You just can't get him as a backman in Supercoach. That's why I just wanted to leave this option to the side. So Brad Hill, if you don't have him, I think is a perfect replacement for Nasiah Wanganeen Milera. If you're looking for something really unique, I think Jace Burgoyne's midfield minutes have been through the roof and his scoring has followed. They've got Melbourne on Saturday night. They've got Essendon in the last game. Potential that Zach Butters returns and changes that midfield mix for the last game. But he certainly has been good, Burgoyne. He's 910 in fantasy. Bergman is the cheap option who's getting midfield minutes in defence. In the midfield, you can't go past Errol Goulden this week. Great matchup against the Bombers. Brad Hill also available in the midfield. From a forward perspective, Max Hall's been a buzz name this week. I've got him in a couple of draft leagues, so I've been very much across how good he has been this year. But without Naz, those CBAs, if they don't climb higher, they certainly hold strong. He's got a big role this week against Richmond, you would think, through the midfield. Chad Warner safe, good matchup against Essendon. And then sort of the news bites here, of course, you can get Brad Hill as a forward as well. So at St Kilda yesterday, they had a very light session. You couldn't glean too much from what they were actually doing. So Cal Wilkie was sore in the aftermath of their game, 6-day break into this Richmond matchup. You'd think the captain will play. TDK sore with a shoulder. I think there's a little bit of doubt around De Koning. So a few people sort of asking the question, why would they talk about a rest with 2 games to go, coming off a short break, but it's only a 6-day break. I think it's because they've got the 2 short breaks in a row, is what Ross is getting at. So I think they play Thursday night in round 24 or 25 or whatever it is. I think it's Gold Coast Saints Thursday night football. So they go Sunday into Saturday into Thursday. So they might be thinking, say a TDK, is it best to rest him this week, get him right for Thursday night football in a Richmond matchup where perhaps they feel like they can win this game even without TDK and having Marshall as the lone ruck. So Marshall as a hold this week I like. Marshall as a trade-in, as a unique, if they don't play TDK, I also like, because Nankervis tends to concede points. Jason Norm-Francis was on radio yesterday. He is confident that he'll play this week against the D's on Saturday night. Just to watch with that knee. Wayne Milera is going to miss another week, so he's going to return for the last game of the season. He didn't travel over to Perth to take on the Dockers, so you'd think Hugo Hawker-Hahn, maybe his spot in the last game of the season might be under threat, but certainly this week he should be fine and playing. And Jordan Ngoe will train today, but likely to return for the Pies if you managed to hold him last week, missing just likely the 1 week with the glute. The Pies have Hawthorn this week. Not too much other news floating around that I'm aware of. I'm out to the Bulldogs today. Interesting, on Triple M, I think it was Daisy Thomas floated the idea of a Marcus Bontempelli rest. So maybe we'll ask Bevo about whether the Dogs are thinking about rest before finals get underway. Thanks for your time on Goat Fantasy. I'll be back with you soon. And of course, we'll have the preview as always on Friday with Warnie.